So I start again, with less gear and more of an idea of what I'm in for. Mum is out of hospital after it was discovered her potassium levels were so low she was like a walking heart attack waiting to happen. These low levels were due to blood pressure medication she'd been on for 13 years. The irony of modern medicine. I made a plan to visit 2 country pubs today, the Harrow Pub, built in 1848, and the Apsley Pub, which is free camping. It's funny how you never really appreciate your own backyard. Today was a stinker, one of those dry, hot days that scorched the landscape to a golden brown. I couldn't wait to get out of the flat, barren country of the Wimmera. The only break in the monotony, the majestic Grampians mountain range. As I get closer to Harrow, I notice a pleasant change in the surroundings. Huge red gum trees stand like ancient sentinels watching over the country. The distance between letterboxes and the imposing entrance gateways made me aware the farms here weren't hobby farms. These holdings had serious acreage. I get to the Harrow Pub around 6:30 p.m. As Apsley is 45 minutes away, I decide to only have one drink and ride on. On these country roads, the wildlife gets more active at dusk, so I didn't want to risk getting in too late. Harrow is one of the original inland settlements of Victoria, but its glory days are long gone. On no major thoroughfare, it's been left much as it was 100 years ago. But its residents have been proactive in their attempts to keep Harrow on the map. It was home of the Butte Blokes event, where city women were invited to meet local isolated farmers in the hope of creating more families in the district. The locals also put on a show for tourists, a racy pantomime with period costumes whereby they walk the town's one main street, decoding its history. I met a local called Bruce with an impressive handlebar moustache. He was so passionate in his explanation of the pantomime show, he barely drew breath. I'm aware it's getting late. I have to hit the road now if I want to make Apsley before sundown. I take it slow, 80 to 90, assessing the landscape. Not much roadkill, still fairly warm, but still a risk. I pan the country for any sign of active wildlife. Up ahead, a mother emu and youngster sprightly cross the road. I see a wallaby or two, and then have some luck. A woman in a small SUV passes me, and I decide to tailgate her to Edenhope. 110, 120. She's going at a fair click, but I keep close to her tail. If a roo jumps out, her car will be my barrier. My method probably isn't the most sound, for if she hits a roo, I've still got to slow down in time to miss her, but it feels safer having someone go through the patchy bushland before me. I use the same method just out of Edenhope, tailing a truck towing a four-wheel drive, the turbulence causing a light cooling effect in the dry, sweltering heat. I make it to Apsley and head straight to the bar and order a meal before closing. Local Doola Downs lamb shoulder with a sweet pumpkin puree, Brussels sprouts, pine nuts and feta. It was delicious, quite impressive for a rural pub. The Border Inn only reopened in 2014 after laying unoccupied for 3 years. 12 local farming families joined together to run the Art Deco facade hotel, concerned that losing the pub would be a death knell for the local community. Later that night the pub was pretty quiet with only 2 patrons, and only one being local. He told me he remembers a day when the pub was so full he had to get served on the footpath through a window. Talk turned to investment funds buying up local land at exorbitant prices, and the further destruction this has on the local population. I wake to the incessant chattering of a caucus of cockatoos. They really are like the teenage girls of the bird world, lively and loud. A fine dew covered everything I didn't put in the tent, and my morning inspection revealed a missing nut holding my number plate. I made a quick fix of the situation with a wrap of electrical tape. I have breakfast in the recently opened local cafe. A couple from Adelaide bought it and told me their main clientele were truckies and tourists, passer-bys. It's encouraging to hear these stories of rural communities attempting to turn the tide on population exodus. but it makes me wonder what the future holds for an Australia where most of its citizens reside in the cities. I decide to take the inland route to Keith. The surrounding landscape is desolate and flat. Maybe I should have taken the coast route along the Coorong. I pass through little town after little town, most appearing to just be outposts, relying on passing traffic for their subsistence. I pull in at a Belgian waffle shop. What a great idea, something different from the usual pie and sauce. After 272 kilometres, I reach the Murray River, a green refuge from the surrounding parched earth. I decide to spend a night at a caravan park, $20 for an unpowered tent site. I was a bit disappointed the lavish camp kitchen had no power, so approached a makeshift table of long-termers, having some Saturday night beers. "Mate, when I saw you pull up, I thought you were Japanese," said one furrowed loco in a blue wife beater. "I didn't think an Aussie would be mad enough to ride across this desert in summer." Apparently a few single Japanese men had stopped in at the park on round Australia bicycle tours. The next morning I head to the roadhouse next door for a coffee after a restless night due to the night truck traffic on the parallel highway. I found the empty roadhouse restaurant a thing of beauty, the complete opposite of the surrounding landscape, orderly, spotless and sterile, the faint blue glow of fluorescent lights making me feel I was civilised again. After asking a few questions of the counter lady, I was informed truck stops have free showers for any customers. Damn, I know what I'll be doing next stop, free shower and a meal at a truck stop and camp way out in the bush. I drop into old Tailem Town Pioneer Village. I check YouTube to see if they've had a video made. No professional videos, but a lot of videos about ghost sightings. This I have to check out. The Pioneer Village was set up by a wealthy local ex-farm machinery dealer. He collected over 110 buildings from around the district and furnished them with items from the 1860s to the 1960s. I asked the woman at the reception, dressed in period costume, about the ghost sightings. She said with the sincerest look on her face, "Yes, we have several haunted buildings here. Ghosts move with houses, you know." So she makes a list on my map and off I go in search of the paranormal. The police station, the Emporium, the picture theatre. Hang on a minute, this picture theatre was a railway storage shed. I realise not all the buildings are representing their original purposes, but I must say the attention to detail of the trimmings did make me feel like I was stepping back in time. The site that was supposed to have the most ghostly activity was the old Woseley Methodist Church, which was set up next to headstones discarded from an abandoned country cemetery. I set up an elaborate plan to lure the ghost into revealing themselves. I started playing a morbid tune on the piano, something you'd hear in a horror movie. Surely this would upset the ghost and cause him to do something. Unfortunately, all it seemed to do was upset some wildlife residing in the roof. I ride onto Murray Bridge where I drop into the local pub to get online. I see a storm cell has just passed through Adelaide and hope it's heading seaward. I decide to do the 93-kilometre run to the Barossa Valley. I could feel a strong side wind blowing from the coast, and up ahead dark ominous clouds lined the horizon to the south. When one starts riding a bike, these side winds can be quite disconcerting. Sometimes they can violently catch your helmet or bike, making it sway to one side. But after some experience, you get used to this turbulence and brace a little towards the wind to counter its force. I approach a curvy uphill run, a biker's dream. The barometer has dropped and to my left I see a storm front. I'm hoping I can outrun it and avoid any rain. The doctor seems to enjoy the drop in temperature and I give her a rev and she responds with a pleasing growl. I let out a maniacal laugh. These are the rides we live for, powering into uphill corners, swaying from left to right, feeling part of nature, in it, the whole visceral experience, the smell of roadkill, the whack of an insect splattering on my helmet. I pass the rise and head down into Eden Valley. At times the trees appear to bow over the road as I pass them. What a beautiful country this is. Undulating farmland with massive red gums dotting the landscape. The Eden and Barossa Valleys were settled by English and German free settlers. The Lutheran Germans were escaping persecution from the Catholics in the 19th century. And as I drive through a local town, I see signs of German heritage. Metwurst sausage shops and German language signage. I find a camp outside of Tanunda, in a vineyard, on a bit of a rise. I see the sun breaking through the clouds in the distance, shining rays onto the far horizon. I also see a fast approaching storm front, dark and ominous. I decide to wait and see how much rain it will bring before setting up camp. As the storm passes over, I regret my decision. I quickly cover my camera equipment and put on a plastic rain poncho. Oh boy, thunder and lightning overhead, and I'm standing out in an open paddock. I could nearly read the headlines. Idiot bikers, one last photo before being struck dead by lightning. After about 20 minutes of rain, the front passes and the wind subsides, resulting in an eerie stillness. I wake to find all my gear has dried and have a light breakfast of saddlebag cheese, crackers and tomato. The cheese has gone 2 days now without refrigeration and has a greenish opacity and slimy texture. Another 2 days and it should fully mature. I do my Tibetan exercises and a short meditation in the vines. Today I hope to find video production work with the local wineries, the unwashed gypsy biker and his stuffed monkey mascot. I head into the township of Tanunda, where I find dollar showers set up for cyclists. I freshen up and take a seat in my makeshift office, the local library, to devise a game plan for getting work. Before leaving on this trip, I carpet bombed all the wineries of the Barossa with an email, telling them I was heading to town and available to produce videos. This approach led to very little response, which made me decide email is dead as a marketing medium. Time to try another method. I decided to aim big, Penfolds Grange. Let's see what videos they've made on the iconic Aussie Red. I do a YouTube search and see they've been active 4 months ago. A very flash video about the history of Grange, with a voiceover from none other than Russell Crowe. That's alright, I thought. What about I ask them if they want a video featuring this current harvest? I get on the phone, find out Penfolds is actually owned by Treasury Wines, and their marketing team is not even local, but based in Southbank, Melbourne. The receptionist wouldn't give me a phone number, only an email, so I'm back where I started. I try a few more wineries and get no bites at all, no real interest. At the end of the day, I visit a local craft brewery and sample some very fine beer varietals, a white ale with pear and citrus undertones, and a honey blonde with hints of orange blossom. I ask one of the owners if they've thought of getting a video made after 7 years in business. They tell me they are getting a young student to make them one for free. This attitude really annoys me. It's kind of like me asking them for a free beer, just to see if it's any good, before I decide to buy one. There and then I decide to leave the Barossa. My trip has only just begun and there is plenty of time to work on the best way to market to business as a travelling videographer. It's so good to be back on the road. There is the smell of fresh rain, of burnt ash from a recent fire, and the cleansing eucalyptus scent of wet gum trees. I love that smell. It's like the smell of nature revitalised. I pull into a service station to refuel the doctor and refuel myself with some chicken and chips. I've probably got to stop eating these truck stop meals, but for now, a bit of grease will have to do. A man with a large Ned Kelly beard down to his chest walks past and asks me where I'm heading. I tell him Perth and his eyes light up. This has happened a few times now. People, mainly men, seeing my bike with all the gear and approaching me with excitement about what I'm doing. It's like my trip represents the essence of freedom to them. It's kind of nice to just have complete strangers bliss out on what I'm doing. My trip has only just started and I'm still adjusting to the nomadic biker lifestyle. I'm aware there are stages of pilgrimage that I will go through.
At the moment, the hardest thing for me is just before going to bed, those sunset hours where I'm alone. Not everyone can handle solo travel. It takes a particular fortitude. For me, all I ever wanted to do was explore the world and tell her stories. I love you, baby, but you gotta understand, when the Lord made me, he made a rambling man. I set up camp at Riney, an old Cobb & Co rest stop, which still has the original 1860s pub. That night the heavens opened. It literally rained the whole night. When I woke up, I tentatively looked out of my tent to see if the doctor was still covered with a tarp I haphazardly threw over it before sundown. Luckily there wasn't much wind, and everything was still covered. I decided to just lay there and wait for a break. I fared pretty well after my first major test of all-night rain. My tent, of course, was saturated, but everything else remained dry. I drove on towards Clare, light rain still falling. One could nearly see the country coming alive, green specks replacing the rust-coloured fields. I take a detour to Mintaro, which the sign says was a heritage town. I pulled in and get my camera out, deciding to further test my new prime lens. Having previously concentrated only on video, I was enjoying the new creative outlet photography gave me. I went into the local pub where I met Alandra, a Belgian backpacker on a 2-year working holiday. We got talking for ages, and she told me that for a visit she only stayed in very small rural towns, avoiding the cities. This is where you meet the real people. There's a genuine feeling of community, and I love that, she told me. As I rode on to Clare, taking an unsealed back road, I thought about Alandra's statement and my experience in the Barossa. This is why I had the disconnect. This is why I needed to leave. How can a community or business have heart or passion when its decision makers live miles away in a distant city?
I get into Clare and find a $35 room above the middle pub. They're too small to swing a monkey and fairly stuffy, but with a fan on at night and wholesome $10 pub meals downstairs, they suit me just fine. I have a contact to meet in Clare who may well be able to help me get work with the local wineries. At 5:30 p.m, I head to the Taminga pub to meet Gary, a retired gentleman whose father lives in the same town my father lives in. I met Gary at an Ararat pub and we decided to catch up when I was in town. When I arrive at the Taminga, I'm made aware it has a fairly elaborate seating protocol, dictating where regulars sit at given times and on given days. Seat 1, for example, is Gary's seat. Seat 2 is Nappa's seat, unless Rowley is present. Seat 3 is primarily undesignated, except for on Wednesdays, when it's used by Smokey. This list covers all 13 spots in the bar and is very specific with regard to times. Gary's seat, for example, is reserved from 5:37 p.m. till 7:15 p.m, with the stipulation that Gary may return for one drink around 9:30 p.m, after a meal, so potential patrons take heed. I have with me a list of all the wineries in the region, and with Gary's suggestions narrow that list down to the ones he believes would be worth connecting with regard to getting a video made. No, not them, they've gone broke. Unfortunately, Aussie pub culture is dying off. It was a place a man could go and let off some steam, have a laugh and learn the local goings-on. It's now just become too expensive. When you can have a beer at home for $1.50, paying $6.50 for a pint in a pub can soon add up. Part of this is due to a 6-monthly automatic government excise increase called the sin taxes. It was introduced 30 years ago and also pushes up the price of things like cigarettes, which now cost a staggering $40 a pack. I think it is also a cultural change. I recently did an inner-city pub crawl in Melbourne with a mate, and apart from the iconic Young and Jacksons, most of the other old classic pubs had been restyled into restaurants. If a man hasn't made his money by 50, he'll die a pauper, said an 86-year-old with beetroot red skin and wispy pure white hair. I thought to myself, if you reach 86 and can still have Friday night beers with a few friends, you have riches more than King Solomon's mines. The next morning I get up and do a bit of maintenance on the Doctor. I'd fitted a new performance exhaust on the bike before leaving, and I'd noticed earlier that the header bolts were coming loose. But I found when I tightened them, the pipe would then touch the frame of the bike. I tried to rectify the problem by adding 3 washers to the middle connecting bolt, but it seemed no matter how many adjustments I made, when all bolts were tightened, the pipe touched the frame. I tried to buy all Australian manufactured parts when modifying my bike, even though in some cases it meant paying 3 to 5 times more. I thought it would be an interesting exercise to see how they perform, and fitting for such a journey around my own country. Australia is actually the 4th most expensive country in the world, behind Switzerland, Norway and Bermuda, but also has the highest minimum wage in the developed world, pipping out New Zealand, Canada, the UK and the US. I suppose it all evens out in the end for those who have full-time work. I then took up office upstairs at the pub. I love the carpet in these old places, pubs and casinos. Somewhere in the world there is a carpet designer tripping out on acid, turning out these lurid psychedelic patterns. I decide to forsake email this time and go straight to the phone. I ring those wineries on my list, suggested by Gary, and try and get a contact name for their marketing manager. In the end, they still ask me to send an email with some examples of my work. Oh boy, technology can be a wonderful thing, giving us access to people and ideas around the world, but there is nothing like personal contact, in friendship, in business. Seeing the face of those we're talking to, judging their reactions, their non-verbal cues. I've got to find a way to meet these people face to face. It's the only way I can sell them the idea of doing a video, right now. For lunch I decided to try a local delicacy, saltbush lamb. Apparently, the meat of sheep that graze on the local saltbush plants of the dry marginal interior have a unique taste. So I purchase a few chops and head off to a public barbecue in a local park. I was fully prepared with salt and pepper I'd borrowed from the hotel I was staying at. I cooked the chops and let them rest for a few minutes. They were nice lamb chops, but I can't say I noticed any difference in taste. I decided to visit a few wineries and get an idea of the local varietals. The Clare Valley has a Mediterranean climate of hot days and cool nights. This leads to very fruit-driven wines, as the cool nights allow the grapes to ripen slowly. Primarily known for its Riesling, the region also produces smooth Shiraz and Cabernets. Austrian Jesuits were some of the first to produce wine in the Clare Valley back in 1851. On my little tour, I found places to eat with magnificent views over rolling hills, and a brewery that produced a tonic ale with orange and lemon peel, fresh coriander and ginger from a 100-year-old recipe. But the highlight of the day was a chance visit to a twilight market in Seven Hill, a local event where producers sell their wares, everything from fresh produce to cakes and relishes. It really represented to me what a vibrant community the Clare Valley is. Colourful characters and delicious tastings. Wine-soaked figs with cracker and cheese. Pickled grapes and homemade pistachio and honey ice cream. Ah, it was a foodie's dream to find a place where people still have a connection to the earth and what it grows. It was really wonderful, and my only regret was I couldn't buy all these delicacies and take them with me, as many wouldn't survive saddlebag temperatures. Tomorrow, I'll see a different type of country. Gary has graciously offered to take me on a little tour of the district, which will take us to the margins of the good earth, the periphery, where the farming lands end and the mythical outback begins.